Joining me now is Patricia Heaton. You probably know her from Everybody Loves Raymond or The Middle, but she's also a wife and a mom and a practicing Catholic. So, Patricia, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yes, this is going to be fun. Okay, so I want to start with your acting career. Many actors dream of winning Emmys, and you've done that multiple times while also raising a family with your husband. What was your day-to-day life like back when you were filming Everybody Loves Raymond and raising your four boys? I mean, did you get any sleep during those years?
No, I have zero recollection of those years. I was so tired. No, the first season of Raymond, I had a 3-year-old, a 1-year-old, and I was pregnant with my third. And then the
Wow.
third season, I had my fourth. So it was a little bit hectic. The beauty of doing a multi-camera comedy is that you rehearse for the first 4 days. So the kids could actually come to work with me because they could play in the dressing room because we were just rehearsing. We weren't taping anything. There was plenty of fun stuff for them to do around set. So you rehearse for 4 days, and then the fifth day, the audience comes in, and you just do it like a play in order with multiple cameras and then the audience. So that was a really great schedule, excuse me, in the sense that we worked 3 weeks out of the month. So we'd have 3 weeks of filming, and then you'd get a week off while the writers worked on the next scripts. And then you get, a week or so off at Thanksgiving. You'd get about 3 weeks for Christmas and New Year, and then you get 3 months off in the summer. So it was an ideal work schedule for a person with young children. So I really, really appreciated that. I mean, it was pretty exhausting. But, at that time, they had accepted in Hollywood that women were going to have their children and they need to accommodate that. So it was really accommodated, and they worked around my birthing schedule. And, when I had to nurse the kids, I would just, nurse the kids and go to my dressing room or whatever. So it was really hectic and it was tiring, but there's something about at that age, you can get a lot done. Mothers are really good. The more you give them, the more they can multitask, so you find the energy. So it was a wonderful time, and everybody on the show was having children. So Brad had kids, and Monica, who played Amy, Monica Rosenthal,
Hmm.
I think she had another baby then. Ray had another baby. So yeah, it was really a lot of fun.
That's really great to hear. So, okay, I want to talk about your Catholic faith specifically. And I know you were raised Catholic, but you lost your mom when you were 12. So, how did that impact your family, your faith, and what was your relationship like with God at that time?
Well, I'm from a very, very Catholic family, and that was back in the 70s, and there wasn't a lot, there was no grief counseling for kids. There was no, parental loss groups. Um, it was very much, we went through the whole ritual of the wake and the funeral, and lots of casseroles dropped off at the house and that type of thing. And then you just kind of went back to life, and there wasn't any kind of mental or emotional support. And that's not a criticism, that's just the way it was at the time. So you kind of had to just plow through. But because of that, I sort of went in and out of depression and had to started having to take medication for a time. And that kind of plagued me for a while, for quite a few years. And
Mm.
there was a lot of then abandonment issues following that too. So my dad got remarried, and that kind of was sort of jarring. And my oldest sister went off into the convent, and at that time she was going into a cloister, so I wasn't really going to see her
Hmm.
again. So there was that, and then my next sister was getting married. So there was just like a lot of these things of constant repetition of loss in, emotionally for me. So I struggled with that for a long time, and I think I always knew God was there and present. And even if I felt like I was alone in some ways, there's something about being Catholic and the deep tradition and ritual of it, and the sort of very clear cut way of seeing who God is and who He is in your life, and that and Christ and all of that, was sort of a secure. There's a security there
Hmm.
that kept me from going completely, down a dark hole.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And I know you mentioned your sister is a
Hmm.
nun. My understanding, she's a Dominican sister of Saint Cecilia. Is that right, in Nashville?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. And I know next year there's going to be a film coming out where you play a nun. Did
Yeah.
did you talk to her at all and get some tips or?
No, because it's a movie about an exorcism, and she has not had that experience. I did look up a lot of stuff about exorcisms, and and it's based on a true story that happened in Wisconsin and about something like in the 1920s with this Father Theophilus. There's a little pamphlet type book written about it. So it was really fun. Al Pacino's playing the exorcist. I'm not sure exactly when it's going to come out. I
Okay.
get to play the Polish Mother Superior in a convent. So it was really fun, and it was kind of hard work. I had to learn a little bit of Polish. But it was exciting because Al Pacino's a wonderful, wonderful actor and a very wonderful, kind, generous human being.
Yeah, and I heard too that you like zombie movies. So did this sort of fit that desire, or is it close to a zombie sort of?
It's not close to, no, I need to do a zombie project. I'm still waiting for that one. No, yeah, I loved The Walking Dead. I loved all the Korean zombie projects, Train to Busan, the high school zombie show, All of Us Are Dead. I mean, there's a lot of great ones out there.
So I was going to ask you too if you feel like there's other projects. You've done so much in your career. Are there other types of projects that you want to do as an actress, including potentially a zombie movie?
Yeah, I mean, I do a lot of comedy and that's really fun and I enjoy it and I enjoy bringing, that into people's homes. But I also am a big lover of theater, so I'm, maybe doing a project coming up with a friend and also to do a drama, a TV series that's a drama could be fun.
Yeah. So I want to go kind of rewind a little bit to when the middle finished taping. I had
Hmm.
read that you stopped drinking, and that was a few years ago when you weren't working on a show anymore. Your kids were
Hmm.
grown. What happened at that time that made you decide, okay, I'm going to stop? And then how did God help you with that?
So I just, there's a lot of alcoholism among Irish Catholics and Midwesterners, and there's just sort of a culture of drinking. And I just felt that it could tip into being a problem for
Hmm.
me because I wasn't working at the time. My kids were all out of the house. And there's sort of a transition that women tend to make once they are empty nesters. Um, and it can be a little bit difficult because the things that define who you were in the world are no longer there. So I wasn't working, and also the kids weren't there, and so it's like, what is anchoring me to the world, and what's my identity? And so a lot of times, what can happen is you just, instead of having to live in that uncertainty and that uncomfortableness, you just go out to lunch and you have prosecco instead, and then you don't really think about it. And then you have your bourbon old fashioned at night before dinner, and then a couple glasses of wine with dinner. And there's research has been done that women who have been moderate drinkers all their lives can often become alcoholics in their 50s and 60s. And I think it probably correlates to the fact that there's so many changes, emotional changes and chemical changes in your body. So I just noticed that I was you know, feeling like I was thinking about drinking more, like I was looking forward to opportunities to drink. And so I just had this sense that it was something I was supposed to give up and I really wasn't going to be able to. And so I just really had sort of a conversation with God. And I said, I think I would like to give this up. I think you want me to give it up, but I will never be able to do it because I love Maker's Marks too much. I just love it. So, and so I just left it at that. It was really just like a conversation in my mind. And within like 72 hours, I'd had I'd been to dinner at my son's house with his friends. And I just found my brain's synapses I didn't feel drunk or anything,
Mm-hmm.
but there was just like this synapse thing where I was not able to pronounce a word I was trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that even if I felt fine, that the alcohol was doing stuff to my brain,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of how much I had. And so that kind of clicked something in my mind. And that was 6 years ago. And that was the first day of never drinking again. And it
Wow.
was just a really incredible answer to prayer.
Yeah, it's amazing how God works. You basically put it all in his hands, and I feel like that's what he's calling all of us to do, is rely on him more. So that's really inspiring. The last thing I want to ask you about is some of the work that you're doing now. You're very passionate about supporting our Jewish brothers and sisters and fighting anti-Semitism. So why that cause in particular? What made you excited about that?
Well, the last couple of years, I've been sort of asking God, what he wants me to do and to give me something specific to do. And when October 7th happened, my heart was really broken and I was horrified at what I was seeing. And I thought I would see more of an outcry in general from Christians and Catholics about what had been happening in Israel. And I wasn't really seeing it. And I knew that most churches supported Israel. So I got together with my friend Elizabeth, who's Christian, married to a Jewish man, and we created the October 7th Coalition, O7C, and to help activate Christians to be more visibly and vocally supportive of Jewish people, of Israel's right to exist, and to fight anti-Semitism. And so, that God just put that on my heart, because I thought to myself when October 7th happened, I think sometimes, especially people my generation, think, gee, if I had been a German in World War II, would I have been that good German that hid your Jewish neighbor? And I
Mm-hmm.
thought, here's an opportunity today where we see it happening. Back then, I suppose a German person could say, we didn't really know what was happening. Maybe they could use that excuse.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't understand the depth of it. Now it was all clear. It was there for people to see on social media, Hamas body cam footage of the atrocities. And so I just felt like we needed to stand up and do something. And I felt like people didn't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so at O7C, we just started by calling Jewish synagogues, rabbis, the Jewish Federation in our town, and pastors, and starting to bring people together. Prior to that, we all kind of live in our communities. There's nothing wrong with that. But we can tend to be kind of siloed. And it was a reminder that we all need to be in community with each other also, not just within our own communities. Because there's a lot of anti-Semitism sweeping the country, and it's coming out of campuses. And there's a lot of businesses being attacked, homes being attacked, students being attacked. And so we all need to use our voices together, Christians, because there's so many of us in the country. And I think if we were louder and more vocal and visible, like the pro-Hamas terrorist people are, that we would get more of a response from our representatives.
Yeah, and the website for that is?
October7coalition.com. October, the number 7, coalition.com.
Well, Patricia, thanks so much for joining us, and God bless.
Okay, thanks, Victoria.